It is a very special edition of the KTM Summer Grill here at speedcafe.com, joined at the desk by Speedcafe's Formula One editor in Matt Koch, and we are delighted to have on the line to talk IndyCar, Formula One, and goodness knows we could talk a whole lot more with him, the CEO of McLaren Racing, Zach Brown. Welcome.
Thank you. We got to talk a little supercars too, don't we?
I'm sure we probably should do. Can we open the batting, Zach, though, with Formula One? Look back on 2022. Fifth in the Formula One Constructors' Championship, with a bit of balance, Zach, some positives in one sense and maybe some hard marking as well. How do you reflect on the season?
Tough season for sure. Fifth is disappointing. Coming off of fourth and prior to that a third. We had our challenges. We had definitely had some good weekends. A nice podium by Lando, and then, of course, we really struggled to come to grips with Daniel to maximize his performance. So, as you guys are well aware, that was difficult through really the entire season in the media that was around that. But now, super excited to have landed another Aussie in Oscar, and that wasn't without a little bit of arm wrestling in drama. So, tough year. I like where we are today with our plans moving forward. And so last season's behind us and already ready to go racing for next year.
Zach, I know you're looking forward to 2023, but I guess we can't pass up the opportunity to ask you about Daniel and why that relationship, I guess, didn't work. Now you've had time to reflect on that, knowing the energy and the efforts and lengths that you've gone to internally to make that work. Why didn't it, do you think? Is there a silver bullet? Is there something that was missed, or why didn't that gel like I guess was planned when you first signed him?
Yeah, we don't know. We've certainly analyzed it. We gave it everything we've got. Daniel gave it everything he got. Our relationship with Daniel was great, is great, still is great, as difficult as it was. Clearly disappointing for both of us as to the outcome, but I think it's a bit of great mystery as to why. I don't think Daniel knows. We don't know. We tried everything. Maybe we worked too hard. We certainly tried, and it just didn't work. And I think ultimately that's why we both decided it was to make a change, was because we had tried everything and we really didn't know why it wasn't clicking. And so hopefully a change of environment for him, he'll get his magic back, because for sure he's a magical guy, and you saw in Monza what he's capable of, and he'd done that 7 other times, so it wasn't his first win. And but we needed to make a change because we couldn't figure out what had gone wrong.
You mentioned that you're swapping one Aussie for another. You've got Oscar Piastri coming in for 2023, an exciting youngster for us down here. What gives you the confidence that he'll succeed where Daniel couldn't? What is the secret gel to make him as fast as Lando, I guess?
Yeah, I think, two totally different drivers. So I don't think you can, compare Daniel to Oscar. I think we got to do what we know how to do, which is try and put out 2 competitive cars, give drivers, equal treatment, equal equipment, which, McLaren has always done. I think Oscar, I had dinner with him last night here in the UK. He's a very focused, mature, fast individual from everything that we've seen so far, and his track record is much like Lando's in that he's kind of won everything in his first year along the way, which is pretty rare, which means you gotta be pretty special. And so we just need to integrate him into the team like we did with Lando and hope that he finds his feet. He'll have plenty of support from us. We want to make sure there's not too much pressure on him coming into a big team in the way in which he did, going up against a very difficult, fast teammate. But I have no doubt Oscar's going to settle in nicely and be a strong teammate to Lando.
Zach, that kind of leads me to the next question. That is, you've obviously had him in the car a couple of times now. You talked about even the dinner last night. He's been at the factory, of course. What are those kind of working impressions of him that you've been left with so far?
Very focused, very mature, determined. Doesn't seem to have a lot of ups and downs in his emotions. And I saw a lot of that through the turmoil over the summer. He's a 21-year-old, and here you have a big OEM who's making accusations and taking you to court, and you got to be a pretty tough character as a 21-year-old to be unfazed by that. And he was, and he kept his head down, and I think he's going to let his driving doing his talking. He didn't get into a war of words, even though Upmar said some very unpleasant and inaccurate statements. Oscar didn't rise to that. So what I see is a very focused, determined, mature 21-year-old. That's what I see out of the car. And in the car, we see the same thing, and we see that he's very fast.
Zach, you've got a young driver lineup. It's scary to think that Lando Norris is the old guy for your team next year. It's just scary. He's not even 25 yet, is he? And that's just the tip of the iceberg at the moment. You've got some infrastructure stuff that's happening behind the scenes with the wind tunnel and the simulator. I guess that all fits together. When does the benefit of those infrastructure projects come on, and how does that all feed together with the driver lineup that you've got in terms of pushing McLaren forwards?
Yeah, it'll start to impact our 24 car. It will have full impact for our 25 car because it comes online middle of next year, which means we'll already be started on our 24 car. So I think we'll have everything we need fully up and running for the 25 season. We'll be kind of 80% of the way there in the 24 season. And I think at times really well with, Oscar's going to be a rookie next year. So no doubt, being a rookie, and he has not raced for a year. So we discussed last night, he's going to need to get a little bit of his race rust off of him, which I'm sure won't take long. So I like the trajectory that we're on. I like, where we're at with our drivers, where we are with our technology infrastructure, and feel like everything's going to start to really come together in 24 and 25.
So if we're 80% there in 2023 and then moving forward, what does 2023 look like? We were fifth in 2022. What's success for McLaren this coming season?
Well, I think closing the gap to the front of the field. We kind of have two data points that we pay most attention to. One is how close are we to the team that's winning, and if that team is not Mercedes, our other data point, given what a great team Mercedes is, and we share the same engine, how close are we to Mercedes? So those are our two primary data points from a competitive standpoint, and we want to be closer to them next year than we were this year. Beyond that, it's hard to set a very specific number to that, but of course we'd like to get back up to at least fourth in the championship, but I think we're going to need a little bit more of our technology in place to really be able to break into the top three.
Switching up to something I've asked you a couple of times about, Zach, the World Endurance Championship. It's come up a few times over the last sort of 12 or 18 months, and it's one that's sort of constantly been kicked down the road a little bit. Where's the World Endurance Championship program up to? It's something you've been analysing. Any movement there, noting, I guess, developments in the road car business as well?
Yeah, it continues to sit on my desk and near the top. It's something we definitely want to do. So I think it's a matter of when, not if. But there's a lot that goes into a big decision like that. We've just bought the Formula E team. We're new into owning our IndyCar team, Extreme E. We've got a lot going on in Formula One. So we need to make sure the timing is right to where we can take on another big project because it's very competitive. I got Indianapolis 500 wrong in 2019 by not coming in as prepared as I thought. So that those wounds still hurt. So the desire is to get into sports car racing for sure. And it's just a function of when we can fit it in a way that we feel we're ready to take on the challenge and not compromise our other activities. And we've got a lot of activities going on right now.
So timing's clearly a factor there, Zach. Is it contingent on the road car sort of side of the business? And there's been, reports of, McLaren Holdings beginning in investor talks to maybe raise some money in that regard. Can you shed some light there?
Yeah, if we go to Le Mans, our intent would be to do it with our automotive brother, if you'd like. The CEO sits right over there, Michael Leiters, who's just joined us from Ferrari. He's passionate about racing and what sports car racing can do for our automotive brands. So yeah, there's definitely an element of not only McLaren Racing being ready, but McLaren Automotive being ready. And as you've stated, we're going through some economic restructure on the automotive business. The racing business is all set. So that's definitely factors into our timing and our decision making.
One of the things that's been reported as part of that economic restructuring, as you term it, is the Heritage Collection and the sale of a part of that. Are you able to tell us more about what is or isn't involved, or has or hasn't been sold on that front? And is there any impact to the racing side of that? Like incentives and so on?
Yeah, no, racing's its own business entity with some common shareholders and some different shareholders. So racing is in great shape, kind of on and off the track. We've got all the resources that we need. We're now cash flow positive, going to turn a profit next year, which is the first time in 6 years. So racing is great and is unaffected by anything that happens within automotive. Automotive is going through a transition and rebuilding its business plan and needs various investments along the way. And so this one that was done most recently was a way for some of our existing shareholders to put some money into the business while they work on a longer-term solution, which no doubt they'll get done next year.
Zach, can we switch to IndyCar for a moment? We have obviously very fond memories of racing on the Gold Coast. That may or may not be realistic, but would you like to see the sport, explore options beyond North and South America?
Well, my most exciting part of Surfer's Paradise is I just bought Nigel Mansell's NASCAR 3 championship car, which is the Surfers winner from pole. I remember that race like it was yesterday. I think on the IndyCar front, I think it's difficult to be a domestic with a little bit of global in you. I think reality is Formula One is truly a global form of motorsport. But I think it's difficult when you take a domestic championship and then you even though the Australia race was immensely successful, I've never, on a practical matter, when I meet with CMOs, they're either in charge of North America or Europe or global. I've rarely come across someone whose business card says I'm responsible for North America and Australia. So I think it's a challenge because you also have a lot of domestic companies in IndyCar because it's a domestic championship. And so you get someone like Verizon, who's a big sponsor. I don't know that they don't have a platform in Australia, but, it's a North American company primarily. So I think it's difficult. It's exciting. As a racer, I love to see it. But I think commercially, someone like IndyCar, if I look at the gaps in the calendar, they need something in the Northeast. So I'd rather see the Northeast tackled than seeing the IndyCar expand to international markets. It's the same thing with supercars. I think supercars would be great to expand, but still within Asia Pac. So when they went to the Middle East, as cool as that was, I think it would be better to see him in Singapore as an example, because you're kind of staying within the territory. If you have a random supercar race in America, kind of the same thing applies. If we look at our partners in supercar, it's Optis. I'm not sure they do much business in North America. So I think it's nice, but I don't think it helps grow the core product, taking a domestic championship and giving it an international race or two.
Can I sort of put a supercars twist on that? Then there's been suggestions of supercars going to Marina Bay and supporting Formula One in Singapore. What have you heard on that front? And do you support that idea, given that you play, I guess, on both sides of the fence of that one?
Yeah, I totally support that idea. I think that would be awesome for supercars. It's a great market, relevant, territory. I have heard that there's been some conversations, and I would be a big supporter. I think it would be great in Singapore for the Grand Prix, and I think it would be great for supercars. So I'm a big advocate of supercars ending up in Singapore. I hope it happens.
All right, we're not too far out of time here, Zach. It'd be wrong of us not to wrap up this conversation without getting something from you about what happened on the streets of Adelaide on Saturday. That terrific 1-2 for the team. I would imagine you were watching very closely. Pretty cool way to wrap up the Holden chapter. And are you looking forward to the next phase, Gen 3?
Yeah, big time. It was a great way. Cinderella story. It almost got it done on Sunday as well. There wasn't much left in it. So a great way to end an awesome relationship that is iconic and historic with Walkinshaw. Obviously predates me. They're a great partner. They're a partner of ours in IndyCar, and at the same time, Ford is a racing company that Jim Farley is a good friend, someone I race historics with. So. Great way to close out an awesome era, and it's very excited for next year. Already working on the schedule as to which races I'll come to next year.
You've been super generous with your time. Our viewers and readers are incredibly grateful of that. Our program here is going to air on New Year's Eve, so we wish you and all the various racing divisions, which we love hearing about, the very best for 2023, Zach, and thank you very much for talking to us.
Thank you, and Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year indeed. There he is, Zach Brown. That wraps up another fabulous edition of the KTM Summer Grill. Matt and I will be back again very soon. As a part of this year's Summer Grill, our great partner in KTM each week has a special prize pack to give away, which includes a stool, a stubby holder, and a KTM hat. Very cool additions for your man cave, your garage, or just for around the barbecue. To enter, all you've got to do is head to speedcafe.com or click on the link description below, and you could be in the running. And check out, of course, tomorrow's next edition of the KTM Summer Grill right here at speedcafe.com.